Nichols College, presenting on Le Corbusier and the Carpenter Center for the Visual Arts here at Harvard University. Here on your packet, you have a nice picture of Le Corbusier right here. And this is the Carpenter Center lit up at night. I thought it was a nice picture to start off with. So I'm going to do a little biography on Le Corbusier. He was born on October 6th in 1887 in La Chaux-de-Fonds, Switzerland. And he was born of a father who was a dial painter for a watch factory, which I have a little visual of a watch on page 2. And his mother was a musician and piano teacher, so he developed this. He was raised with this love of art, and that really set a base for the rest of his life. He studied under Charles Platenier at La Chaux-de-Fonds Art School, which was in his town. Platenier. This is going to be a tough one to pronounce a lot, but he dominated his education and really took him under his wing, and really saw that he had an eye for the architecture stuff, so he made him pursue architecture, and that was a key course in his education. And here you see a picture of him on page 2. He's a very stern-looking man. It's not, I don't know if I like taught by him, but and then when he in 1907, which would put him at around 20 years old, he traveled all over Europe, went from Italy to Munich to Vienna and Paris, and he did a series of apprenticeships with architects from all over, and they, a lot of them differed in view and ideas than his mentor at La Chaux-de-Fonds at Platenier. He studied especially under two famous architects, Auguste Perret, who had an idea of structural rationalism, which was the idea that structure itself could create space without like decoration. And as you can see here, there's a lot of like stone that's not decorated, so that was an influence. And Peter Behrens, who had developed, he was part of the Work Bund perspective. Work Bund was a group in Germany that really focused on improving the overall level of taste by improving the design of everyday buildings and of objects and products and buildings. When he returned in 1912 to Switzerland, he began his own practice, and he designed over 30 buildings and a lot of homes throughout Europe and Asia, and he was actually renowned for his city landscaping. He did a lot with, he had a very good geometric eye, as we'll see later in the presentation. He then married Yvonne Gallis, who was a model from France, and he later got citizenship and moved to France because she was French. So that was an impacting factor in his life, obviously. And he was a very active guy. He did like Olympian swims in the Mediterranean, and actually died at age 78, like in swimming in the Mediterranean. He had a heart attack. So you think it's hard to be strong from swimming a lot, but I guess it wasn't. So his architectural style, if you guys want to turn to page 3 in a minute. He was a modernist architect. He believed that it was important to take organic forms of nature and put them into his buildings. He embodied the golden section and the Fibonacci series in many of his works, and he studied that a lot in Europe. As you can see, there's like the Parthenon has this nautilus shape, the facade of it, the front facade, and it divides into the Fibonacci sequence, each part, and even the modular man has two sections of that nautilus shell in it, divided. It's hard to see probably on the camera, but even things like flowers in nature were found to have this this golden ratio, and even like the Mona Lisa has it, and it's just found in a lot of like Renaissance art, and it was a key foundation that he saw to be important. He was obsessed with like these proportions and regulating lines and right angles a lot too. As you can see, here's some of his regulating lines on Villa Schwab. This is it shows his compositional use of the golden section. It's hard to see again, probably on that, but okay. He believed that that the challenge to rediscover this lost human knowledge and harmonies of the previous period, he saw it as a challenge, and he wanted to return to the fundamental principles, like in terms of proportion and composition, but he wanted to make it new, and that's what based the modernist, this formed as a base of the modernist style. He had fun with the golden ratio, and he tended to put a lot of little things in his buildings that no one would ever realize was there, but that would give him passion, and he felt that it was successful if he could put in all these little things that no one knew, but they were like, once someone found out, like that they were gonna love it. And, he had the idea that form follows function. The shape of a building should be primarily based upon its intended function or purpose, and this was a base of the modernist style. He also felt a truth to materials. This showed that this was the precept that any material should be used when, and its nature shouldn't, and its natural aspects shouldn't be hidden or covered up. The stone in these buildings, there's a lot of it, it's not covered up, it's very out there. Let's see. And he developed 5 points of architecture, which we'll see when I talk about this building a little more. On page 4 of the packet, there's also a little funny joke there you guys can read on your own. But on the bottom of the page, it shows his 5 points of architecture, and one was the columns, which elevated the mass off the ground. As you can see here, those columns, very evident. A free facade, which is the corollary of a free plan in a vertical plane. So, and he also had a lot of continuous horizontal windows, which provided maximum light in the buildings and really you could view everything outside. You had tons of different views because of all the windows. Like, you can see almost all the way around this building, you know, from just the windows from right here in like the bottom of the building. He also had a style of putting roof gardens on his buildings. Like there's one up this was in theory restoring the ground that he dug up to build the building by having it still have like, he didn't get rid of any like nature, so to speak, because it's still there, it's just above. He also had a very free plan. He achieved this through separation of the load-bearing columns from the walls, subdividing the space. He would have, as you can see, there's like a lot of open space, and he really had that in a lot of his buildings, a lot of open area. So just a couple of his works I wanted to go through that, just to give you, these were all done before this building was constructed and designed. Villa Savoy in Poissy, France. This was, as you can see in the picture, very modern looking. Just, this is not a typical house that you would think you'd see in 1928. Think of the buildings, like, you think old, like, maybe Victorian or something like that. But these are like something you'd see today. As the row of windows, the view is great. You can see all the way around, and it was meant to be it was built to not disrupt nature. So it was very open and very, you could see everything, and you were just part of the area because you were so submersed in it. As you can see in all the pictures here, there's like the spiral staircase, and even the family he built it for, he built this bathroom with the little bed on it. Like, that's like groundbreaking for the time that he was adding these little elements in that had never been done before. It's crazy stuff. So, another building on page 6 of the handout, Chapelle Notre Dame des Hauts in Ronchamp, France. This was built from 1950 to 1955, and this is a church, and as you can see, very, very different in design. It's got this crazy iron roof, and it's just totally different from the norm at the time. The walls are all the different windows. There's a lot of different window shapes in the walls, and he designed all these colored glass. It wasn't stained glass, but he colored the glass, and this would give a very like vibrant, colorful wall from the light. And the way the windows were shaped, it like brought the light down where you needed it most, because it really just like it opened at an angle. And this building was also laid out as by means of the modular, his way of design. And there's a lot of these dimensions in here that no one, like, they're ridiculously small dimensions in places like without the viewer being aware of them. That just made his work really crazy. Like, everything was thought out so meticulously. Turning to page 7, this is Palais de l'Assemblée in Chandigarh, India. This is a building, it was an assembly hall, and he designed it to be kind of like a beehive. See how there's like, on the side, there's very beehive-like entrances, and it's just, the inside is very structured like a beehive kind of. It's a hyperbolic shell. It has very open spaces inside with these high columns, and you can see this room, which really only needs a little bit of space, but it has all this space, just like overwhelmingly large space. And the top is designed with the windows, banding of windows to let light in. It's the same design as the church I showed previously. And on the bottom here, you can see like the designs inside of it, which are totally something you would see 20th century, like 21st century, like just really like edgy for the time. So these are just a few of his great works. He has many others that are crazy. So now we're going to talk about the Carpenter Center. Pictures are on page 8 of the handout. This was the last of Corbusier's work. He completed it in 1961, but didn't live to see it finished. Because he died in died in 1965. Wait, no. I don't know. But he didn't see the last bit. Its 50th anniversary is actually this May, so we just missed that. But it's going to be probably going to celebrate it in some way. This building was made possible by a gift from Alfred St. Fran Carpenter. That's why it's called the Carpenter Center. It's the only building on the North American continent designed by Louis Corbusier. And he was commissioned to design this building as a home to the visual arts of Harvard. They wanted to join architecture with painting, sculpture, photography, film. It's all those arts are here in this one building, and he connected them. So, there's also a controversy when this building was built because of the surrounding area. It's very different style architecture. It's brick and just very, very contrasting from what this is. And he believed that if he had gone with a traditional design for this building, it would be going against it. Like, it would have been a contradiction to post like the visual arts and like build a new thing in an old fashion. So he embraced the contradiction, but it worked out well. So we'll into the architecture. This is a 5-level building. It functions as open, flexible working spaces for painting, drawing, sculpture. The ramp that goes to the heart of the building encourages public circulation, and really, when I walked up, I really wanted to go up the ramp. It was just inviting to me. So it was successful in that. And as you walk up, it kind of it shows you different things. It reveals different galleries as you're walking up it, and that's what he wanted, because it's a display of the arts, so he wanted it to be easily seen. So there's a lot of glass and stuff, and it really encourages the creative process. The curvilinear wall sections, they define circulation as well as the space. It defines the boundaries of the interior in a way that accentuates the walkway, so it works the walkway well into it because it's curved, and provides a link between the interior spaces also seamlessly. And he maintains large open floor plans, as you can see here. It's supported by columns, allowing for open studio environments and a lot of flexibility in showcasing the arts. And you could do anything from like a film in here to like art display, sculpture. Like it's very versatile for not just this room, but the rest of it. So the Carpenters today is houses the large open studio space, so artwork can be displayed. Today it holds the largest collection of 35mm films in the New England region, and they often hold screenings of important films like international, independent, silent films, all sorts of just very versatile space. And in this building, this building exemplifies the push that Corbusier made in like his work, and that would influence the modernist and aesthetic and future styles. It was a jump, a leap into the modern type of architecture that others followed after him. In America, like in this area specifically, because in other parts of the world he had been designing all sorts of modern buildings. And his legacy was that he really was into the design elements with the geometric and ratios, the golden ratio. And he really felt that by going back and adhering to these principles, you free yourself to anything you want, because it has this beauty of the math, and it really accentuated this in his buildings. And he led the modern architecture style in that he wanted to create better living conditions and housing, through architecture. So here you have a little floor plan of the building also, and just really unique building in the area. It kind of sticks out, and that's what he wanted.